Alrighty, alright, here we go. What's up, guys? It's me, Carlos back again with another video. I apologize for not uploading it in a long time, but I want to talk about combat in video games and why it's so fun. But before we do that, I want to say, my content has been focused primarily about talking about things that are not gaming, and because I become much more passionate about video games, I want to start discussing them more on the channel. So I hope you guys will enjoy that content because I have a lot to say. I tend to just talk to myself a lot about video games, but now it's time for me to share my opinions and be honest with the world. So let's go. All right. So combat in video games. What about it? For me personally, I am somebody who heavily values combat systems in video games. In general, just fun gameplay, right? And I feel that I reinstalled TikTok, right? And as you know, TikTok is a place where critical thinking, social media, and actual thought goes to die out. Because I searched up action games and I scrolled for a little bit, and then I came across this one short that said that read a comment that probably said brain dead, like if you want to play hack and slash, play DMC. And I feel that we need to have an important discussion about real-time combat and turn-based combat, and why comparing them and saying that action combat is mindless or turn-based combat is just press X is, number one, is well factually wrong, and why they're both good in their own respective ways. So I'm going to start off with action combat because it is a genre that I primarily play the most. I play games like Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, Metal Gear Rising, Vanquish, Trip 2, Sekiro, Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages, and all kinds of action games. And the thing about action combat that makes it so fun is the fact that it's engaging. You are actually playing as the character, and it gives the player much more player agency, right? And when you are in the middle of combat, that fast-paced feeling, that adrenaline rush can be very fun, right? But what is it about action combat that makes it so fun, right? Well, I feel like we can go much deeper than that. So let's get into it. So let's take a game like Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry's combat is fun because as you play through the game, you will see yourself getting better and better at the game as it progresses, right? And as you get better at the game, you'll start to do combos. Now, combos are pretty much have always been an integral part of Devil May Cry's combat system. They weren't a thing in Devil May Cry 1, but in general, combos in Devil May Cry in the way to build up style is by constantly switching up your attacks and constantly doing different things so that your style rank does not die down, right? And this incentive can make Devil May Cry a very fun action game to play because you actually are incentivized to do something, right? And the thing is, it can get pretty intense, right? With the Blood Palace of these games, or Dante Must Die mode, that makes the challenge of Dante Must Die mode where enemies are much more aggressive. They can enter their own double trigger, which makes them more tankier, which also means that you have to constantly switch weapons to do more DPS. And whilst also keeping up the style meter is very challenging to do, and that adrenaline pumping feeling can be really, really, really fun, right? And I feel that's the fun of action combat. Action combat is fun because you're doing a lot of things at once, right? You're not only attacking, but you're also blocking. You're also dodging, defending, and you're doing a wide variety of moves in a short time span, right? And that's really fun for a lot of players, including me, right? And with turn-based combat, it has stats in it, right? Turn-based combat has stats in it, but action games don't. More so hack and slash games. We're going to categorize because action games is too broad of a term. So action games, hack and slash games, or character action games, they're not based around stats. They're based around pure player skill, and that is also what differentiates them from turn-based combat. Because turn-based combat tends to focus more on strategy. It focuses more on building a team, and it focuses more on you leveling up, right? Because in character action games, you need to the game incentivizes you to play better by throwing you against aggressive enemies that will constantly that will reach your inputs and will constantly switch up their attacks and will grab you or punish you for playing badly, right? And I feel that is the problem with a lot of people who say that action games are button mashers or just mindless games. That they're just not. That's just a dumb thing to say. Saying that Devil May Cry is a button masher is not fully wrong, because yes, you can get away with button mashing on the lower modes, but if you want to chase high scores, if you want to chase these things, you need to stop button mashing, because if you do, the game is going to punish you for repeating combos. You need to do different things. You need to constantly move very up your move list, or jump cancel attacks, doing all these things. That's the fun of Devil May Cry. Just constantly pushing yourself to the limit, right? And I feel that people misunderstand this because they don't think about actions hard enough, right? It's why I don't like it whenever people review games that they don't care about, because then you end up with a game like God Hand getting a 4 out of 10 because it's too hard or something like that, right? And in general, just calling action combat button mashy is just factually wrong. I mean, again, if you put any action on our highest mode, it can be after you get used to combat, it can be easy, but you can't say that you can just get away with mashing, because you cannot. If you mash in Ninja Gaiden, you're gonna get fucked, and you're gonna get fucked. Enemies will block you, they'll counter you, they'll parry you, they'll grab you if you're too close. Actually, depending if it's a fiend, and in general, it's just wrong. There's no reason. There's no deep or complex explanation needed to explain why action games are not button mashers, or that they require no thought, no skill, or no strategy. And again, it's also just in general an oversimplification of them. And if we keep on going this way, gaming discussion will not get better. So yes, action combat is fun because it constantly engages the player in different things to do whilst in combat, right? You're constantly, number one, again, you're constantly attacking enemies, or you're slashing your sword, shooting your gun, and then enemies get more aggressive. So then you have to be a bit more defensive, and you have to start dodging. You have to start moving around more. You feel me? And I feel a game like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is definitely really good at keeping the balance between offense and defense so really good, because in Metal Gear Rising there is a move called defensive offensive, which is essentially the dodge offset that Platinum Games uses, in which as you're attacking, if an enemy can grab you, if an enemy is going to grab you, you can press X and A at the same time to do defensive offensive, which is a move that has iframes. I think mostly, I don't fully know. I gotta replay the game again. But yeah, the move has iframes. In which it allows you to keep on attacking whilst dodging. That is a very good way that in my eyes, that is a great way to vary up and make for a unique defensive mechanic in a video game. It's really cool in my personal opinion. That's why Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is one of my favorite actions. So up there with like Vanquish, Bayonetta, and Devil May Cry, and Ninja Gaiden. Bayonetta also being there too, because Bayonetta has a mechanic called dodge offset, which is like Metal Gear Rising, where it's basically it's like defensive offensive, because your combo continues going even after you dodge, because you shoot your guns, and learning that is integral to mastering Bayonetta's combat. So in general, yeah, playing action games or playing games that have action combat is super fun because you feel more involved. You feel more like you're actually playing as a character, and that's really fucking fun. It's really fun. It gives your brain something to look forward to, and you can chase high scores if you are interested in mastering the game's mechanics. So yes, that's all for turn-based. That's all for action combat. Now let's move on to turn-based combat. So, what makes turn-based combat fun? Turn-based combat is different from action combat because it is basically fundamentally different. Action game combat can be fun to watch and play. Turn-based combat is not fun to watch but actually fun to play, because I have experience with turn-based games. I played Yakuza 7 and Persona 5, right? Which is the game I have right now, and I think its combat is really fun. But we're going to explain why turn-based combat in general is fun. So turn-based combat involves a lot more strategy than action games. Not saying that action games do not strategy at all, but it involves a lot more strategy. You cannot just constantly press the button. You cannot constantly press X or A to win a battle or brute force it. You have to actually go through the menus, see attacks that can inflict enemies with weaknesses, and can inflict them with many other things, right? And that is the appeal of turn-based combat. Turn-based combat appeals to people who want strategy. It appeals to people who want to think in combat, right? It is inherently it is inherently slow paced because you have time to think. You can sit there for 4 hours straight in a battle on Persona, Final Fantasy, any JRPG. The game will not punish you for that because it wants you to take your time. You feel me? You cannot just rush it. However, that is not to say that there are not fast-paced turn-based games. Yes, there are fast-paced turn-based games, right? Just like with action game or action combat does not always have to be like lightning fast to be considered action combat. Just as how turn-based combat does not have to be slow to be considered turn-based combat. You have games like Final Fantasy 13, and that game is much more involved because it has an ATB system, an active time battle. I think I don't know. But ATB is where the systems are, is where it tries to combine both systems, and there are games that do try to do this. Final Fantasy Remake and Final Fantasy Final Fantasy, not Final Fantasy Remake by itself, but Final Fantasy Remake Rebirth and just Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth. Those two games try to combine both the turn-based combat aspect, which is the strategy combat bit, which is just strategy, and it tries to combine the action combat into one thing to satisfy both players, right? However, the flaw with that is that, again, it's really hard to do. It's really fucking difficult to try to cater to both audiences because turn-based combat is fundamentally just way different than action combat. And there's nothing wrong with preferring either. People need to understand that when it comes to game design, there is no right or wrong way to design a game. There isn't. You can make an action combat game that has a focus on being slow paced, right? Again, Souls games are inherently slow paced, but a game does not need to be slow paced to be a Souls game. You have games like Bloodborne, the first Berserker Kazan, which is essentially a combination. It combines Souls-like combat with action combat by combining it into two. You have to manage your cinema whilst moving at a very fast pace, and I personally can think that's really cool, right? And I feel that the thing is best of both worlds. The best of both worlds can easily make for a very satisfying and challenging combat system. That is why ARPGs are a thing. ARPGs exist because they try to combine involvement and strategy at the same time. And I feel that is why people need to stop just limiting themselves to just action games. Believe me, I love action games. Some of my top 5 games of all time are literally character actions like DMC, Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising, Ninja Gaiden, and some third-person shooters like Vanquish, Gungrave. FPS games like Doom Eternal, Trepang 2, Doom Dark Ages. I love those games for having really fast-paced and really aggressive combat systems where the enemies are also trying to kill you, which forces you to engage much more. But turn-based games, you can die really easily in turn-based games, and turn-based games, even for me, yeah, truthfully, I'm struggling in Persona 5 Royale because I never actually dedicated myself to playing a turn-based game, and the reason why I'm going so deep into combat is because I'm passionate. I love games that have fun combat, and in general, video games are to me personally the best medium for satisfaction. And if you want to master something, because mastering a video game is like mastering an instrument. It takes time, dedication, and even if people are going to say, "Oh, you're wasting your time," as long as you're having fun, there's no time to waste here. There's no wasting time. You're simply just having fun and enjoying yourself. So, all this to say, I know I said it before, but which is actually better? Neither. I said before, and I'm guessing I'm going to repeat it. I don't care. Turn-based combat and action combat are fundamentally different. However, turn-based combat at some times can be more intense than action combat, and action combat can be more intense than turn-based combat. It all depends on what you are looking for from a game. A game being turn-based does not make the gameplay itself automatically bad. That saying that is redundant, and it shows that you have no critical thinking skills because it shows that you do not understand the difference between a bad game and a game not being for you. Persona 5 Royale's combat is not objectively bad because it's turn-based. The gameplay might not just be to your liking, which is fine. It's okay to not play games everybody likes. Listen, I don't care for AAA games, okay? I never played RDR2, and even though I tried playing The Witcher 3, I didn't care about it. It was too boring. I played Cyberpunk 2077, finished one thing, and I was on the game. I didn't care about it. I didn't care about it. You feel me? But opinions can change. If you try, the thing is you have to just force yourself to try it out. It's like with metal, right? In metal, metal can be acquired sometimes, right? You know, with genres, with more extreme genres like deathcore, brutal death metal, grindcore, that shit can get really abrasive. But as long as you dedicate yourself and you actually commit yourself to the torture, the audible torture that is those genres, you will start to appreciate them more for their chaos. The same with turn-based games. Turn-based games can get very fucking challenging. You have SMT. I never played before, but I'm gonna give it a chance and tell you guys how difficult it was. And many other more, right? In general, a game being turn-based does not make it automatically disqualified from it being a fun game to play. Because again, RPGs and turn-based are two separate things. Turn-based, I'm pretty sure there are turn-based games that do not have RPG mechanics. You know, trying to say just pure skill. Same as for action games. Action games, there are plenty of action games that have RPG mechanics in them. So like that, you know, it can be both vertical and horizontal. And if you don't know what that is, well, we're going to explain it. Now, vertical design is where the progression is in leveling up and getting bigger stats and basically progressing as a character, right? Character progression. As opposed to horizontal design, which is progressing as a player. You yourself get better at the game, which translates to character progression because the character does cooler shit because you are better at the game. Think of fighting games, right? Fighting games are a pure example of horizontal design. You do a crazy combo like down forward two, plus up 4 and forward 3. Crazy combo. Your character does a super cool move, and that shit is satisfying. It's rewarding. Thing is, at the end of the day, both combat systems appeal to different audiences. I, for one, am able to enjoy both combat systems. I can enjoy Persona 5's really tactical approach to combat. It's strategic approach to combat where you have to hit weaknesses, where you have to do tentacles in order to get the most damage. Because if you don't do that, and if you try to brute force everything, you're gonna die. Because enemies will really fuck you up in the game. As opposed to action combat, which I also love action combat because it's fast-paced, it's intense, and it's very rewarding to master action combat systems because I can simply do cool shit. It's not hard to explain. At the end of the day, it is subjective. Play what you want to play. Do not let people stop you from enjoying a different game, or let people stop you from enjoying the genre you enjoy entirely, all because they say like, oh, Devil May Cry's a button masher. I don't care, because I mean, again, you probably never played it, or you just probably haven't given enough of a chance, right? Or you have not played Ninja Gaiden. Saying turn-based games are slow, or they're boring, or it's just pressing X constantly. No, it's not. That's just wrong. Play more turn-based games. Play turn-based games that have a focus on gameplay, and you'll see the strengths of turn-based combat. At the end of the day, both turn-based combat and action combat, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. But that does not mean that either are bad. It is a design choice. Let people play what they want to play. At the end of the day, it is just video games, man. You know, and honestly, even myself, I tend to misunderstand how subjective things can really get sometimes. Because you know people want to act smart, but I'm getting far ahead of myself. That's all I gotta say for now. This is my first video on me talking deeply about video games, and I hope you guys enjoy this type of content because I want to post more because I really love video games. I really do. One of my favorite mediums alongside anime and music, and probably movies too. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Share your thoughts down below in the comment section. You know, what do you prefer? Do you prefer action combat? Do you prefer turn-based combat, or do you prefer both? And if so, why? If you prefer turn-based combat, why? If you prefer action combat, why? Just give your thoughts, share opinions, and let me know what you think about the video. Anyways, have a great rest of your night, and remember, love video games, love everything, be a nerd. Goodbye. Have a nice day.